Okay. So the change that you've been speaking about, the change that was the Gul Pakistan forces, do you think that one term into sort of set things right, will it set the standard for honest governance?
It may be enough, I think it will certainly be enough to set the standard. That won't take too long at all because, obviously we'll bring in people who will be absolutely clean and who will be absolutely committed to changing things. So that setting the standard will not take long. But it certainly will take long to clean things up because, things have been, there is much that is wrong and has been wrong for a long time. And these sort of things then take a lot of time to clear up.
There's so much wrong. There's so much wrong.
Yeah.
Where do you plan to start? What are your priorities?
The way to look at priorities is to see what you need to do very quickly and then see what needs to be done over a longer term. So it's a short-term, long-term issue. In the short term, there could be issues of, like I said, security, finance, things like that, which will need to be attended to right away due to mismanagement, and so decisions will have to be taken. That's probably not so hard to deal with. I think the much harder stuff and the much more challenging stuff will be the long-term issues. And these are long-term problems that we face with population growth, for instance, is a big problem. We have one of the fastest or an unacceptably high population growth rate, and it eats away at any economic development. So that has to be looked at very closely and handled. I think another thing that has to be looked at very carefully is corruption, because again, it's like a cancer that has spread throughout the body politic and in our society. How to weed it out? I mean, that's really a tough question. Where do you start? Everything and everyone is corrupt, I feel that we need some really smart people to come in, and we need to put together a task force to just see how we can fix this. It's such a monster that one doesn't know where to start. So that's a priority. Corruption is a priority. Population growth is a priority. I think depending on certain foreign policy issues are priorities. For example, what is happening in Afghanistan and what is happening inside our own borders as a consequence of that. Our military, for instance, is engaged in operations that are essentially operations against our own people. And from our point of view, that is not acceptable. I mean, you do not take up arms against your own people under any circumstances. So these issues have to be addressed, and you have to find peaceful solutions to these issues. If people, this is a separate subject, but from my point of view, there is no military solution to these issues. And if anything, military intervention exacerbates an already bad problem. So those are some of the things we need to be looking at immediately as we come in to government.
Right now, the sort of sentiment in Pakistan overall is that people have lost their sense of patriotism. People are thinking on a very provincial level. They've forgotten the fact that we're Pakistanis. We're all we all share one homeland. This is our country. We have started taking ownership of provinces, and so if it's a Punjabi, he's more sort of Sindhis are more patriotic to their sort of culture. How are you going to tackle that, and how are you going to sort of bring back that the element of patriotism into people?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that perhaps it's not universally true that all people who live in Pakistan are not patriotic. Certainly there are people who have these provincial feelings, and I think that's perhaps a function more of the nature of our politics and of the mess the political parties have made, because they, if there is someone to blame for this problem, it's really the political parties, because they, for instance, the two main parties now, one of them has a hold in the Punjab, and there is a lot of parochialism there. They are using that card for their political ends, the leaders of those parties. So, in some sense, they are responsible for stoking up these feelings of provincialism. And if they were responsible politicians, they wouldn't do it. And similarly, the same sort of thing is happening in other provinces, where provincial parties, or parties whose main strength comes from a particular province, find it in their political advantage to stoke up provincial feelings. Now, this is very dangerous, and like you said, it's there, it exists. Fortunately for us, it's not universally true. I run into many young people who are ferociously patriotic to the idea of Pakistan, and they, you hear statements like, I'd give anything to see Pakistan in the top ranks of nations, and so I think that the thing is that people want to be patriotic. I think people want to see Pakistan and want to identify themselves with Pakistan, and they want to see Pakistan successful. But when Pakistan flounders under this very poor and terrible and corrupt leadership, it disillusions everyone, and then they move away from the things from solidarity, or from identifying with Pakistan to a more provincial, parochial kind of outlook. And I think this is very dangerous, because there is talk in many provinces of secession. You hear this in Balochistan, you hear it in parts of the frontier. And this is really sad. It's sad that people who are part of Pakistan should be talking in terms of, or even thinking or dreaming of separating and forming some kind of separate sovereign entity. Because let me tell you, it's, strength comes from togetherness. If Pakistan, God forbid, is somehow truncated or carved out into several different pieces, everyone will lose. Everyone will lose, because there is a certain strength that comes with unity, with power, with the efficiency and the economies of scale and industry. And there are a lot of things you can't do on a smaller scale. So if one of these provinces potentially thinks that if people there think they'll be better off if they're alone, that's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. The best thing for all of us is to stay together, stay united, and work to take this country where it can go.
Mustaqbil Pakistan, of course, plans to sort of tap into all the provinces on a very, very sort of national level, not a provincial level at all, does it?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are a completely national party. We have no provincial inclinations at all. I mean, we want to be in all provinces. We want to be there equally, and we have an agenda that should appeal to everyone in all the provinces.